The situation in Ukraine by the end of September 26. Kharkiv direction, Ukrainian formations stepped up their offensive in the east of the Kharkov region to reach the borders of the LPR. To the north of Kupyansk, units of the Ukrainian army advanced from the environs of Gorobyevka and Dvurechnoye in the direction of Tavolzhanka. The armed forces of Ukraine are advancing on Tavolzhanka from the northwest. At the moment, Ukrainian military personnel have been able to gain a foothold near the railway tracks. The command of the armed forces of Ukraine is preparing for the assault on the Liman in the forests north of Kupyansk. Limansky direction, the Ukrainian formations were able to bypass the bridgehead of the RF armed forces near Drobyshevo from the north and expand the breakthrough of the front near Redkodub, taking Novoe and Karpovka under control. Later, Novoe, together with Katerinovka, were recaptured by the Russian army. The village of Drobyshevo is still controlled by Russian forces. The command of the armed forces of Ukraine is transferring reinforcements to this sector for further access to the Svatovo-Borovoi highway. Fighting is going on north of Redkodub. To the south, clashes continue on the Drobyshevo-Shandrogolovo line. The armed forces of Ukraine attempted to break through the defense of the Russian forces near Shandrogolovo from Kharpovka with two shock groups, but suffered losses in equipment and manpower, after which they retreated to their original positions. New attempts by the Ukrainian army to storm Liman from Ozerny and Shurovo also failed. The goal of the Russian command is to try to tie down the advance of the enemy and buy time to strengthen the defense in this sector. Bakhmutsko, Artemovsko, direction, assault detachments of PMC Wagner were able to enter Otradovka from the east and cut off the southern part of the village from the enemy. The assault on the stronghold of the armed forces of Ukraine on the Artemovsk-Maersk highway near Nikolaevka continues. Wagner units took up positions along the southern outskirts of Zaitsevo and moved deep into the private sector of the southeastern part of the village. The fighters are also moving towards Zaitsevo from the side of the Donbasskaya substation. The totality of the actions of the Russian units in this sector of the front will make it possible to reach Bakhmut, Artemovsk, from the south, east and north for its subsequent assault from several directions. Lugansk region, in the Luhansk People's Republic, the armed forces of Ukraine shelled Rubizhne, Alchevsk, Travnevo, and Starobilsk, and civilian infrastructure was damaged in settlements. Zaporozhye direction, in the Zaporozhye direction, the armed forces of Ukraine are regrouping. Against the backdrop of a referendum on the accession of the region's territories to Russia, the SBU is looking for pro-Russian citizens. An inspection commission arrived from Kyiv at the strongholds of the armed forces of Ukraine on the front line to assess the state of combat readiness of Ukrainian formations. Reinforcements from the mobilized arrived at the location of the Territorial Defense Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in Vozdvizhenka. The units of the RF Armed Forces carried out rocket and artillery strikes on the command post of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in Gulyaipol and Upper Tersa. To conduct counter-battery combat, several dozen servicemen of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, who were trained in an artillery regiment at the Starichy training ground, arrived in the Gulyaipol area. The military personnel of the Reserve Corps speak of serious losses of the formation and the impossibility of launching a counter-offensive. Part of the forces was withdrawn to the second echelon to restore combat capability. It is likely that the Ukrainian command deliberately launched a disinformation campaign about the state of the armed forces of Ukraine in the area in order to lure the RF armed forces into an offensive against already prepared and already targeted positions. Donetsk direction, the Ukrainian command is preparing for the next counter-offensive, while continuing to shell civilian targets in the Donetsk agglomeration. The units of the armed forces of Ukraine attempted to storm the positions of Russian forces in Mariinka. A massive artillery strike was inflicted on the advancing Ukrainian troops, after which the armed forces of Ukraine retreated to their original lines. To regroup and make up for losses, the armed forces of Ukraine deployed a forward command post in Galatsinovka. The evacuation of the wounded is carried out in the area of Konstantinovka and Yablanovka. On the Ugliter sector of the front, the armed forces of Ukraine are preparing to storm the positions of the Allied forces. The units are on full combat readiness. Prechistovka was chosen as the main direction of the strike, followed by access to the Pavlovka-Blagopshchenka line. Kherson direction, there are no significant changes in the front line in the Kryvyi Rog sector. The command of the armed forces of Ukraine is strengthening the grouping of troops in the contact area. In the vicinity of Petrovka, 1 AFV and 11 servicemen arrived to reinforce the armed forces of Ukraine. Personnel were rotated in Vysokopoly and ammunition was delivered. In the vicinity of Zelenodolsk, the command post of the armed forces of Ukraine is located. Along with this, the Ukrainian command is probing the defense of the RF armed forces in this sector of the front. A Ukrainian Dr. G operates in the vicinity of Arkhangelsk. Artillery and MLRS of the Armed Forces of Ukraine conduct barrage fire on Russian positions in Gorobyevka, Limanovka, and Novopetrovka. Target designation is provided by the Bayraktar UAV.